I kept waiting for him to correct that about himself, and then I would respect him. But really, it was the opposite. The therapist told him that he would be teaching your children a wonderful lesson by allowing me to correct him in front of them, that would show them that would show them how teachable and flexible he was.
Real women, real marriages. This is the Empowered Wife podcast. Bossy believed that respect had to be earned, so she waited 30 years. And while she waited, she corrected her husband, managed him, parented him with a therapist's blessing. Then he lost the most prestigious job of his career. And Bossy lost her mind right along with it. Are you falling for the same respect myth as Bossy? She'd tried the 6 intimacy skills before, but they hadn't really worked. Not really. But this time, something happened on a group coaching call that stopped her cold. One question, 4 words, and it cracked her wide open. What were those 4 words? And after 30 years of waiting, did anything actually change? Bossy's going to tell you. Stay till the end for your Try It Tonight takeaway. Bossy, welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast. So great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Laura. Pleasure to be here.
So how did you know that your husband was the one? Like, what first drew you to him?
Well, my husband was my knight in shining armor right from the start. We met on a blind date, and it was a friend of mine who worked with him who set us up. And we went out together for the first time on a Saturday night. And when he went back to work on Monday, he told my friend he was going to marry me.
Oh my gosh.
It was
You made a great impression. That's
right.
awesome.
So just to give you a little background where I was coming from when I met my husband and what he was like, I really came from a dysfunctional upbringing. My parents were divorced. We never had any financial security growing up. Sometimes even our most basic needs were not met. I was the oldest. And so I took care of my siblings from a very young age. Became a very capable person at a young age. But I had a hard life. Felt very hard to me. And my husband was everything I could have dreamed of. He was smart and funny and handsome, successful, attentive, loving, and so warm. And to top it off, he came from a wonderful family. My in-laws were warm, loving people. We were best friends with my husband's siblings, and my in-laws took me in, treated me like a daughter, and loved and nurtured me.
Wow. It sounds awesome. It does sound like a dream come true to meet
Yeah.
such a beautiful man from such a wonderful family and have him
Yeah.
immediately know you were the one.
Yep. Yep. And within a month, we said we were going to get married.
Wow. Wow. So you felt the same way about him that he did about you.
Yes, for sure.
Wow. I love it, Bossy. So you got married, and then how did it go?
Well, the modeling that I had came from television. So I thought that all you needed to have a successful marriage was love and lots of it. And we had lots of love. So I was sure that we would be extremely successful at being married. But guess what? It actually takes more than that. um, life happened. Life got in the way of our connection. We had money strains. Nobody really ever taught us how to deal with money. Then we had kids. And right from then, I didn't want to go back to work after I had children. None of my friends worked. Our family, my sisters-in-law didn't work. And everybody was staying home and raising their children. And I had to go back to work. And I was just, right from the beginning, I was just so disappointed that my husband didn't make enough money for me to stay home, especially when everybody around me was doing that. So, like I said, I just thought love was enough. I didn't know really anything about respect. When I was growing up, I thought respect was something that a person had to earn. So, if a person earns respect, then you respect them. And when I had to go back to work after I had kids, that wasn't earning my respect. So, it wasn't so much that I just didn't know enough about respect, to be honest. Just didn't know enough. Um, yeah, so as the years went by, I complained about our lack. Um, I never really felt like there was enough money. I don't think my husband felt there was either. But he could be happy with what we had. And just, I wanted to have more financial security. I was raised without it, and I didn't want to live my whole life that way. And I would point out we still needed to accomplish in life that we needed to do. And in my mind, I thought that that would motivate my husband. So, if I reminded him that the car was falling apart and we needed a new one or the house needed painting, so wouldn't he want to do everything that he could to make that happen? Um,
Yeah.
all our big anniversaries went by, um, and they always ended up being at times where we just never had enough money for that big gift that I dreamed of, for a fifth or a 10th or a 20th or even 30th. Um, those dreams just didn't come true. And the truth is, in hindsight, I realize now that I thought the complaining would motivate my husband, but really what it did was it made him just feel like he could never do enough for me. I just didn't see that at the time. So, and looking back, Laura, my husband was the recipient of all of my venting. When I came home from work, I vented about everything that happened that day, what went wrong, who bothered me. I vented about my friends, my family. I mean, after all, he was my best friend, right? Don't you just tell everything to your best friend and vent and say all your feelings all the time about everything? After all, we're connected, right? So I did not realize that that was so detrimental to our relationship because, again, I just seemed so unpleasable and negative and complainy. And I didn't realize that was the culture that I was setting up. Um, so at home, I was used to being in that dominant role. I was the head of my household growing up, right? I was taking care of my sisters. I was helping my family to function. I worked from a very young age. So I was used to that dominant role, and it's how I survived my childhood. So I was used to that. So I just took care of everybody and everything. I ran the show. I did not realize that that was controlling. I thought that's just how capable people behave, right? So I took charge, what we bought, where we went, how we got there, how we parented, right? I took charge of situations. I spoke for my husband. No, even something so simple, Laura, now that I'm in the skills, if, if my husband asks me to call to make a restaurant reservation, I'll do it, but I give his name. And when we walk into the restaurant, I let him go in first. I let him tell the person we have a reservation and it's under his name. I always walked in first. I just, I didn't realize that there was anything not respectful about that. So, Laura, I have a story I have been waiting to tell you for years. About 12 years into our marriage, I asked my husband to go to marriage counseling with me. And during that session, I complained about him. That's what we do in marriage therapy.
All
I was saying that he was too harsh with me and with the kids, and I found him to be too critical and controlling. And he complained about how I corrected him and contradicted him in front of the kids. The therapist asked my husband who he thought was the better parent between us. And he said that he thought I was.
right.
And she told him that he would be teaching your children a wonderful lesson by allowing me to correct him in front of them, that would show them that would show them how teachable and flexible he was.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
Jo-
my gosh, this is horrifying.
yes, horrifying. That was the worst possible advice anybody could have given me because you know what I did? It gave me carte blanche permission to criticize and correct him anytime I wanted. And from then on, it was a culture of me and the kids against him. And I
What?
had permission.
Yeah, not just permission, but like everyone agreed you were the better parent. Like it was your duty to correct him. And oh my gosh,
I
how
know.
how how did he react? Like, how did he react when this therapist said this? Like, was he okay with that? Or
He didn't fight it. I guess he thought that she was the professional and perhaps he didn't agree with it, but if that was her advice, we went along with it.
wow,
It's the worst regret. It's the biggest regret that I have of every regret I could think of.
wow, is
Yeah.
is correcting his parenting in front of the kids and forming this us against him kind of dynamic in your family. And, um, yeah, wow. Gosh. Well, that is very humble and very accountable of you because it's true. A professional said this is the best thing to do. And you were there seeking wisdom to improve your family. And she told you this is the way. And oh my gosh, see why I get so upset with marriage counselors. But anyway, okay. So then what happened?
I realized that I think my husband's harshness came out because he didn't feel respected by me. See, I kept waiting for him to correct that about himself, and then I would respect him. But really, it was the opposite. If I had shown respect from the beginning, I don't think the harshness would have ever started.
Wow. Oh my
That's
gosh. It's
a
very
huge lesson.
yeah. So you feel like it was your fault that he became harsh? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think it was my fault, but I think that it was his response.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
think it was a natural response.
Yeah. Like any mere mortal man might feel defensive when his wife is is correcting his parenting all the time and in front of the children and this is he's expected to I don't know, allow that or like be it's part of that. It'd be tough. It'd be tough for any man. So, ooh, we're laughing about it now, but I hear it must have been painful. It must have been kind of painful to even be the corrector in a way, although kind of tempting too, right? Because you think, well, I am the one that knows the best. Like, there's some satisfaction, some fleeting satisfaction in that, I think. But I bet it's left you with a lot of burden in the parenting department, for one thing.
Yeah, and not just parenting. I always had advice about his career and lots of other things, how he drove, how he ate, when he ate. You know, I just think I know a lot. And it's so
Yeah.
helpful.
Oh, I can relate, Bessie. I do. Yeah. All right. So, so yeah. So what happened? Did this cause your marriage to break down?
Well, I'm gonna get to my breakdown in a minute, but I w- I want to set it up that I was always on the hunt. My whole marriage, I was on the hunt for methods of changing my marriage, of making it better. Ultimately, I wanted my husband to be kinder, to me, a kinder husband and father. Really wanted financial security, which meant that I wanted him to be more successful in his career. And I was a self-help junkie. I had so many books. I took a lot of classes, marriage classes. In my religion, marriage classes are abundant. I read every self-help book, and it was actually through a religious Laura Doyle certified coach that I first was introduced to the Surrendered Wife book. I read it. I loved it. It really spoke to me. And I started implementing the skills because I wanted to see changes in my husband. And I had a hard time keeping up with the skills. I would go in and out of using them. My husband would start to respond, and then I would slip, right? Because in my mind, they were really for him and not for me. So the minute I started to see change, I couldn't really keep it up. Um, so fast forward, my oldest son got married about 8 years ago, and I got intentional again with the skills because I was now introducing a new person into our home. I was going to have a daughter-in-law coming to meals, coming to holidays, staying here. And I was kind of embarrassed at how my marriage looked. I didn't want my husband's harshness to come out. I didn't want my critical nature to come out. And so I got into the skills again. I remember having such an aha moment with this cute new couple, my son and daughter-in-law sitting across from me at the dining room table. And I remember looking at the two of them and thinking, gosh, I really hope that she treats my son with respect and adoration. Like he's my son, right? I raised him. I love him. He's such a good guy. And I hope she sees that in him. And then all of a sudden, Laura, I thought to myself, my husband is someone's son, and his mother probably wanted the same for him. And I wasn't doing that.
Mm.
So this period of being in the skills about 8 years ago was the start of a period of great um, career success for my husband. He ended up landing a new position. I called it the dream job with the dream salary. And in my mind, I was to credit for this because I was working the skills. I built him up. I gave up control. I used duct tape. I had tons of spouse fulfilling prophecies, but my motivations again with the skills were not pure. I really used them as manipulation. I didn't realize that's what I was doing, but looking back, I see it. So during this time, my husband had this amazing job, which brought a life-changing amount of money for us. And it was getting out of the COVID time, and he was working from home. So I could hear him on meetings, and I would sometimes think to myself, like, gosh, he just sounds so assertive. I don't like how he speaks. I, he had gotten himself to this pinnacle of his career without my help, but I still felt like I knew better. And then you know what? After not so long, less than a year, he lost that job. And when he did, I completely lost my mind. I took those skills, Laura, and I threw them out the window because in my mind, it was my lack of controlling that got me here, right? Maybe if I hadn't relinquished control and instead I told him how to speak and how to behave and how to keep the job, then maybe he wouldn't have lost it. And even though it was due to a company restructuring, I kept thinking, well, still, maybe they wouldn't have restructured. So I don't know. I guess I thought I had a lot of power.
Oh my gosh. So painful though. And I totally get it. Like you heard those conversations he was having and you saw things that you could improve about him or tell him to improve. And I get the temptation. Like and the gosh, just that I can relate to this belief. Like I could have prevented this from happening if I'd been more involved. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
so it sounds incredibly painful and scary. Yeah, it's just crushing, especially since that is a major theme with you, like it was for me, that having this financial security was life-changing, you said. So,
Yeah.
very disappointing.
Yeah. Okay. So my husband was out of work for a year and a half. We had no income. We had nobody to rely on. My in-laws were gone by that point. We had nobody to turn to. And it was such a lonely time. I was in so much pain. And I was so angry. I was just so angry that this was where my life was. I could literally feel the anger coursing through my body all day. And sometimes I would think to myself, like, I think I'm going to give myself cancer or something. Like, it can't be healthy to have this much anger in, in my body. Like, that's how I felt. And my husband hated how unhappy I was. He just wanted to do anything to help me, anything to make me happy. And finally, one day I told him I had been in Ridiculously Happy Wives a few years before, and I told him I have to go back to that. I didn't even want to suggest it because we had no income and I didn't know how we would pay for it. And I thought it was a very indulgent thing to ask for, but I couldn't think of anything else that could possibly work. I didn't want to go to therapy. I hadn't had great success with therapy before. And I just felt that the only thing that was going to help me was to get back into RHW. And my husband said, do it, sign up. You don't have to ask me month to month. I will figure out how to pay for it.
Wow, that's
Hmm.
amazing, especially since money is tight, that he was so supportive. He just wanted you to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. It was such a depressing time in our house. But he wasn't depressed. I was, right? He had faith that everything was going to be fine. He would go out in the morning to synagogue and he would come home and he would be whistling. And I would be thinking, what on earth is there to whistle about? Like, how could you be okay? How could you be happy? But he just had so much faith that it was going to be fine.
He's a man of great faith. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I can relate to how frustrating that is when it feels like everything is terrible. You should be upset with me right now, and he wasn't that.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Alright, so you're back in Ridiculously Happy Wives in the group coaching.
Yeah.
Uh, how was it? What
Yeah.
happened?
Well, I took advantage of everything that you offer, all the modules, I think I went on a group coaching call every day. I raised my hand for coaching. I, I just dived really deep into it. And again, I had been in and out of these skills for a long time. And so what was different? Well, I remember one day I was on a group coaching call and it was a beautiful sunny day. I was sitting at my kitchen table and I don't remember who the coach was and I don't remember who the client was. And I don't even remember what the coaching was about. But I remember the coach saying something like, what if your situation never changes? This is what she was saying to the client, something like this. What if your husband never changes? How do you want to show up? That was the hugest aha moment for me. I read your book, I think in 2010. We're fast forward to like 2023 here. I just kept thinking, what if he never changes? How do I want to show up? I couldn't, it was like literally like a bolt of lightning. And that was the minute that I realized these skills are for me. They are not to change my husband's parenting. They are not to change his tone of voice. They are not to get him a better job. They're for me. And that is the moment that I shifted the focus finally, after all these years, to me and doing the skills for me. You know, I was 58 at the time. I had been married for over 30 years. And I realized like it's time to stop wasting time, wasting time trying to control and change my circumstances and to start living my happiest life. I thought to myself, I'm 58. I've outlived the age my mother was when she died. I've outlived the age my stepmother was when she died. I'm not so far from other relatives when, that age when they died. So I thought, I don't know how long I have on this earth, but whatever that time is that I do have, I realize that I am responsible for my own happiness. The skills are for me, and it was time to start working this program like I meant it for me. And the results were so dramatic.
I love this. I love this lightning bolt. Wow. So you really had a change of perspective that that changed everything, it sounds like. What did you start doing differently?
Well, I really re-examined all the skills from the perspective of how they affected me and only me. So I realized that first and foremost, self-care is the vehicle for me showing up as my best self, as my best wife, my best mother, my best grandmother. I have a lot of grandchildren. When I find myself getting irritated, I always thought that it's just because the other person is so annoying. But the truth is, when I find people to be irritating or annoying, I know it's just me low on self-care. Yeah. And then I started showing up with respect to my husband, whether I felt he earned it or not. And in ways that, I didn't realize all that went along with respect. I didn't realize that cautioning him that he could maybe get into an accident or advising him, to eat healthier or, helping him to not sound so harsh. I didn't realize that that was disrespectful, but you know what? I put that duct tape on and that's a hard one for me, Laura, because I really love to be helpful. And especially when we have married children and grandchildren, and when they come for holidays and other occasions, that's the time when I find challenged the most. Even still, I usually have to get coaching before holidays because I still want to speak up for him. I still want to soften things if I don't think they're coming out in a way that could be heard nicely. Um, and, also speaking of parenting, right? I practice the skills with them. And I recently even had a situation with one of my kids that I thought that, um, the way that he was doing something, going about something was not healthy. And I really wanted to call my son and talk to him about it and tell him my perspective. I mean, yes, he's a grown man and he's married and he has children, but I'm still his mother. And, I got coaching around it. And I relinquished control and I never brought it up to him. I never discussed it with him. It's not my place. It's his journey in life. And I have to have faith over fear. And it was really hard, especially with my kids.
And now that you've relinquished control of that, it's kind of not a one-time thing, right? Like if you continue to see that he's making this choice that you feel is not the right one. Um, I mean, how do you continually deal with that?
Yeah, so, I keep the duct tape on, but I also created SFPs around it.
It sounds like you say something that has like a positive expectation for how he's going to make those decisions or how I don't know what it's about, but that's what your son fulfilling prophecy does is kind of expect the best of your son, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You
Yes.
say to him and to his wife. So they know
Yeah,
that you expect the best instead of calling to discuss with him how you have a different perspective and maybe he
mm,
should change the way he's doing things.
right. And I do believe the best, actually. I
You
believe the best in them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And how has that impacted your relationship with this son and your daughter-in-law?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I have a wonderful relationship with all my kids and all my in-law kids, and I don't know, but it keeps me on my paper and it keeps me focused on keeping myself strong and having faith over fear. And yeah, I might never see the fruits of that. I don't know.
Well, it sounds like one of the fruits is not exhausting yourself from trying to control somebody that you can't control, which is
Yes,
was
that
kind of
is true.
your lightning bolt moment. So
Yeah.
so I love it. So you use the skills with everybody, not just with your husband, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a funny story about expressing desires. Um, so in the beginning, I was trying to express desires to my husband, small ones like you have in your book, I would love a clean kitchen. I would love a drink. And my husband just looked at me like, okay, so get one. Like, it just was like coming out totally sideways. It wasn't working at all. Um, and so then I started to go for bigger things like, oh, I would just love a diamond bracelet or I love a pair of earrings. But you know what, Laura? It just came out as my old complaining said in a different way to him. He could not hear it as a desire. He just It just didn't work. And I kept thinking, so not fair. All these people on these group coaching calls, and all they do is say, I would love a new car. And the next day there's one in the driveway, and I would love a vacation. And no, and their husband calls the travel agent. And me, it just isn't working. This skill is just not going to work for me. But through coaching, through private coaching, I realized that I had repair work to do first. I had to repair the complaining that I did, and I had to repair it with gratitude. I had to repair it with gratitude before my husband could hear desires as desires and not complaints, like veiled complaints.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. What an insight, because you're right, it does sound terribly unfair.
Yeah.
Expressing desire seems to work for everyone else, but just not for you, and so I can imagine you thinking, like, "This just is my husband's the exception, like, this is just never gonna work." But instead you got coaching and you got this insight. So what did you do?
Yeah. I just started heaping on the gratitude. And again, it's genuine gratitude, but right, like not as a manipulation, not as a way to get him to fulfill my desires, but as a way of really feeling grateful, right? I think I was the kind of person who was always seeking improvement. So I was always looking for what improvement in myself and him. But instead, I just started really looking at everything that I had to be grateful for about him. No, there was so much he was doing for me. And so, yeah, in fact, I made an SFP, which I'll tell you about again with my coach. And I had a complaint that I didn't feel like my husband was generous. So we flipped the complaint to my husband is generous. and I had to build an evidence list. Now, the evidence list was not long in terms of material things, but it was long around other things. So my husband was generous with doing things in the house, with spending time with grandchildren, with helping community members. He was generous with a lot of things. He was generous to let me be an RHW and then generous to send me through coach training. Um, so I had to find evidence, and I started to say to him around the service things, wow, you're just so generous. And when I first started saying it, he looked at me like I was from another planet because I don't think I ever said that to him before. And he knew that I thought that there was a lot more that he could do for me in terms of gifts and things like that. So when I was saying to him, "You're so generous," he didn't know what I could possibly be talking about, but I just kept saying it. Anytime I caught him being generous in any act of service or time, I just kept saying it. Or if I would say to him, you know, one of the kids, or I'd like to buy a certain thing for one of the grandchildren for their birthday. What do you think? If he would yes, I would say, "Oh my gosh, you're so generous," even though it was my idea, his idea, but I would still say it. And then he started saying it. Like he would do something and he would say, "I know, that's me. I'm so generous." And then I stopped coming up with ideas and he started to. Then he started to say, "Oh, maybe we could do this for one of our kids, or maybe we could do that for one of the grandchildren. What do you think of buying them this or sending them money for that?" It was almost like I had to get out of the way. Like I had to stop being the person with all the ideas of how we could spend money. And once I backed down from that role, he stepped into it. And now he's so generous. A few months ago, for our anniversary, he bought me a diamond bracelet. And just the other day, Laura, I had to go into a jewelry store to have something repaired. And he came in with me and he bought me an eternity band.
He's so
Yeah,
generous.
he's generous.
Oh my gosh. Now, when you first started saying this, it sounds like it felt like you were lying to you, and it sounded like he thought you were like he didn't know what to think, right? He didn't think you were, but he had a funny look on his face. So this is completely the opposite of where you guys were when you started this spouse fulfilling prophecy of saying you're so generous. So were you nervous to say it to him?
I was nervous because it sounded so unnatural coming out of my mouth, and I didn't want to think of it as a bold-faced lie, so I was able to build that evidence list around generous things other than materialistic. And
Yeah.
then I say it in a way that wasn't a lie.
I love it. And it was such a magical moment when he started saying, I know, I'm so generous. Like he was, I mean, did you like fall out of your chair when he started saying that?
Yes, yes,
And then when you got
yes,
the eternity band, like, yeah. I mean, so you are now married to a generous man. Like, and it's
yeah.
kind of like you did this. And this is kind of what you, I mean, when you talk about like in the beginning, you were using the skills to change your husband, and it sounds like he changed. Is that right?
I find it so interesting because I still really believe that if I wanted to build a negative evidence list around this SFP, I still could, right? I still could find places that he's not generous if I so choose to go that path. But I have learned through my private coaching and everything else, that you teach that I could choose the opposite. I could choose to build the positive evidence list. And I find that about everything, whether it's my kids or my friends or my husband. I can build a negative evidence list and I can build a positive one. It's just how it's what I choose. And I'm choosing now to see the best in everybody. I choose the positive evidence list because you know what? It makes my life happier. It really doesn't come down to changing anybody else. Am I happy with my husband's changes? Absolutely. But I didn't do any of this with the expectation that he would change. It honestly shifted me into a positive, grateful, happy person.
Wow. That is amazing, Bossy. I love that insight, that wisdom bomb that you just dropped on all of us. And it sounds like you count your blessings instead of your curses now. And that's been key to you being happier.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
But you're also having a different experience. Like you're getting a different experience from him. He wasn't buying you diamond bracelets and eternity bands before
No,
this.
no.
So both are true. Well, I love
Right.
it. He sounds a lot more inspired also. And you're happier and he's more inspired. So what a
Yeah.
great story. You are so generous. Like I feel like everyone should steal that and start you
Yeah.
so
You know, my transformation, I just feel like has been so incredible, so complete. And like I said, not just for my marriage, I am lighter, happier, softer, more feminine. You know, I listen to in so many of your teachings, your book and the modules and everything that we have available to us. I've heard you talk so much about being Gothel and saying, go back to dating and you were younger. I would tell my coach, no, I can't go back to that person because you know what? I wasn't that light, happy, Gothel girl. I wasn't. I came from a heavy childhood. I was a serious person. I had a lot of burden on me. I was not a light, happy young adult. So this Gothel person that I am now at almost 60 years old is the first time that I've ever been like this.
I love it. So it only took you 60 years to become the girl of fun and life.
Right. Exactly.
Waffle stands for. Okay, I love it. I love it. So how did you become the girl of fun and light for the first time?
Oh, well, honestly, I think shifting my focus to my paper and getting off of everybody else's, first of all, like you said earlier, it alleviates a lot of exhaustion. It's very exhausting to try to keep it all going for everybody, right? So I shifted my focus onto myself and I started to feel like sometimes I would get this like fluttery feeling in my heart and I would think like, what is that feeling? And I thought, gosh, I think that's like happiness. I think that's like real joy and happiness. And it was so unfamiliar. Now, I don't want to give the impression that I was always a miserable person. I wasn't, but I never felt this light-hearted joy that I feel now in life. And I also just feel grateful and satisfied. And I see this in something even going on now in my marriage. So after that year and a half of unemployment, my husband did get a job and um, and he still has a job, but he never did get back to that dream salary that he had. And for a long time, I thought that I I'm not going to be happy until he gets back to that. When he gets back to that, right, then I'm going to feel happy again. But until then, there is sort of a lack, right? I feel like there's a lack. And um, I realized that I actually am completely satisfied and happy in my life. If my husband makes more at some point, great. If he never does, that's okay too. I also, again, through my coaching, through my private coaching, I see all that I have to be grateful for about him, that he's so much more than just his job or his earning. And he actually did recently interview for a position that could get him back to close to that dream salary, but it would come with some challenges, some commuting and travel challenges. And we had a conversation about it. And I said to him, I mean, the old him would have taken the job no matter what, just to make me happy. And the old me would have expected that. But I said to him, your happiness means so much more to me than the money. We're fine now. We're okay. We have enough. If you choose to take that job, great. But don't take it for me. Only take it for you, because I'm okay if you don't take it. And it was a huge, huge, huge shift for us.
I bet.
And
I
I
bet.
really mean it. I'm not saying it out of manipulation or to change. I really, truly mean it.
Wow. How did he respond to this huge shift in you?
He's so grateful. He is so, so grateful. And he's really the one who encouraged me to do this podcast, because he is so supportive of everything that I've been doing, going through coach training. I spend a lot of time on group coaching calls, and I'm so involved in everything that you offer. And he is so encouraging because he just sees how happy I am, and that makes him happy.
Oh, gosh, that just melts me. That story is so inspiring that you were able to say this. It sounds like for the first time in your life, really, you feel you have enough. You feel, I mean, I almost want to say prosperous,
I do.
regardless of how much your husband's making.
Yeah. Hmm.
Wow. I mean, it sounds like a miracle.
It feels like a miracle.
Phew, phew, very inspiring. Very inspiring, Bossy. Good job. Like that must have taken some, like you weren't saying it just because somebody told you to say it or you're trying to get a certain response from him. This came from you, from your heart, and you truly feel it. That's some
Yeah.
inner peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see it on you. I see it on you. It's really cool. Wow. Wow. So, okay, so this is a recent interview. Did he get the offer? Did he decide to take the job, or is that still unfolding?
It's still unfolding.
Okay, so we don't know how that story ends yet, but actually we do in a way. Like that's a great conclusion to the story.
Yeah.
You are not attached to his decision about how he
Right.
supports the family. Wow. I love
Yeah.
it. Wow, that's great. Wow. And so, so how has this affected your, well, let me ask you this. So what is your marriage like now? Let me ask you that.
So my marriage now is so romantic and fun and silly and happy. We are so connected. We are thoroughly enjoying our empty nest stage here. We love our time together. We play games. We go on dates. We sit in front of the fireplace together. My husband just loves seeing me happy and fulfilled, and he encourages me to do things that fill me up. He encouraged me to retire young and live my best life. And I really feel like I'm living life to the fullest. I travel and see my children and my grandchildren, and I have lots of upcoming travel plans, including going to symposium in October. And um, yeah, some of my travel is by myself and some is with my husband. And I've taken up new hobbies. I joined a gym. I do a lot of religious study, and I just take very good care of myself, and I have the energy for it because I'm less exhausted because I'm not trying to control what everybody else does. And you know what? My husband is everything in the beginning that I thought he was. He's kind, thoughtful, sensitive, successful, romantic, generous. And, you know, it's interesting this idea of did only I change? The truth is, I truly, truly changed. And my husband, his change is simply a response to my change. And he's my hero. I've stepped aside and I've allowed him to take the masculine role in our house and our relationship. And, that's a man's nature. And I never knew that before because remember, I did it all growing up and I thought I had to do it all as a wife. I thought that is what being a good wife was, to take care of everybody. And I didn't allow his masculine hero gene to come out because I didn't know there was such a thing. I just honestly didn't know. I didn't mean to trample it. I just didn't know it was there. And, I see now, I remember when I first started the group coaching calls and the coach would say that, our husbands just want to see us happy. They just want to make us happy. They want to take care of us. And I didn't really think that was true. Like I didn't understand that, but now I see it and I see that when I rejected that in my husband, I, I, I squashed him from being able to do that for me. And we have a cute joke now because I started saying to him like, "Oh, you're my knight in shining armor." And even if he just whatever cleans off the snow from my car, and I'll say, "Thank you. Where's your armor?" And he's always like, "Yes, I know. I'm your knight in shining armor." And we just have fun with it.
Oh my gosh, and you probably both love it. Like, you get the snow taken off your car, and he gets to feel like your hero. And, like, in the past, would you have just, like, gotten the snow off your car yourself? Or like you say, you step aside now to let him be your hero. What kinds of things do you step aside from?
I just let him take care of me. I stopped making all the phone calls and all the arrangements and I stopped controlling how the money went in, out, here, there. I just stepped down.
Just resign from all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, I love
And I
it.
best and I trust him and I don't question his judgment and sometimes I don't think he makes the smartest decision, but I I don't have to say it. Who says I'm right?
Yeah. So, doesn't that kinda eat you up, though, when you see him make a mistake and you don't get to say anything about it?
It's not so easy all the time, but I know that preserving the intimacy is the best thing I can do. And so I can overcome hurdles like keeping the duct tape on and relinquishing control in order to preserve the intimacy, right? The end goal is more important.
Yeah. So there's this kind of like a self-control and like a maturity that you have, that like a superpower that lets you choose the intimacy even though that temptation is there.
Yeah.
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 That's awesome. So, Bossy, how has this affected your children? Like, I'm just thinking about that cute young couple, your oldest son and his wife. Like, how has it impacted them that you have gone through this incredible transformation?
So it's interesting. I don't know how it affects my sons and daughter-in-laws, although I have, they've each read The Empowered Wife and they know that I went through coach training and they're quite proud of me. But they're pretty private about their relationships. They don't say much to me. My daughter, um, yeah, she was living in the house until just a few years ago. So, She has definitely seen more of it, and she's so inspired by it. And when she first got married, I thought to myself, if I start to see her marriage getting in trouble, I'll give her the Empowered Wife to read. And then I realized, wait a minute, I'm going to give her the Empowered Wife right away. Why wait until something goes south? Let her have these tools right from the beginning. And she loved it, and she's given the book to other people, and she's still young, but it's her dream, and I would love to help her make it come true to go through coach training at some point. I tell her she will be an awesome, awesome coach.
Wow. That is like, it sounds like every mother's dream to be able to have that much to inspire your daughter. First of all, she's seen such a big change. And she was open to the book and she read it and she loved it. And she wants to be just like her mom. That is there's no bigger compliment. It must feel really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And I'm so inspired to see that my kids are able to, were able to start out their marriages in such a different way from me. They received religious instruction about marriage before they got married, and your teachings are so in line with our religious values, and they just started out with such a leg up, things that I just didn't know. I just didn't know.
It must feel really good to be able to give them a better start than what you had. What an
Yeah.
accomplishment. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So what is your tip for somebody who is stuck where you were, where, her husband lost the prestigious job and he's been out of work. He's never really been as successful. He's harsh. He's harsh with the kids and and she's like struggling. Like, I just need him to not be so harsh and be more successful at work and make more money. And he's not generous. And she wants what you have now, where he is so supportive and buys her rings and bracelets and coach training, which is that's an investment too. And she feels like she has such a generous husband, and she wants to and you got to retire early, and she wants to feel adored, like she has a knight in shining armor, like you do. What's your best tip for her? What should she do?
My best tip is to dive into the skills and do them for you and only for you, with no manipulation, no expectation that anybody else will change. I would say invest in RHW. Don't think about the money. Don't think about the cost. Somehow it will get covered. The gain from it is so much more multiplied than any dollar amount on it. It's worth it, and take advantage. You offer so much. Full disclosure, you didn't tell me to say this. You offer so much for that monthly amount. I say attend as many group coaching calls as possible. Raise your hand, get the coaching, take advantage of the resources, all the modules. And then if you want to go for the gold, join relationship coach training. You will have the resources for your whole life, right? I had classmates that were in their 20s. They get it for their whole life. I'm already almost 60. I'm going to have it for much less time, but but go for the gold.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And what would you say if you could go back in time and talk to Bossy and tell her what you know now?
This was an easy one to come up with. And it's something that I told my daughter. It's something that, I've heard through, some of the, religious Doyle certified coaches. And it's a piece of advice I gave my daughter when she got married, and it is so hard. But this is what I would go back and tell myself. Put your husband first. Put him before the kids. Always put him first. Because one of my biggest mistakes I see now is that I honored my children and I parented my husband. And it goes against a mother's nature to put anything before her children, even her husband. It's just against our nature. But I can almost guarantee, this is what I would tell myself, I can almost guarantee that your children will be healthier for witnessing the utmost respect between you and your husband. I would tell myself to respect him from the start, that even if I don't think he earned it, he's going to rise up to it. And I would tell my younger self, take care of yourself. Don't drain all your resources by taking care of everyone all the time. They'll figure it out. You take care of you.
Oh, wow.
That is what I would tell my younger self. And I wish I would have known all these things. And sometimes I can get into regret mode, but I try to just say, okay, even though this is coming to me more than 30 years after I got married, I'm so grateful that I at least have it now. And I don't want to look back and regret. And I just want to enjoy the future. But that is what I would tell my younger self.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's tender and so accountable and humble, Bossy. It's really appealing, very endearing. That is what you would tell yourself. And I just had one other question too. Is your husband, is he still harsh? Is he still harsh?
No, really
No,
never.
never.
No, never.
So that stopped.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's so soft and gentle and kind, and he just can't do enough for me. He makes sure my car is always filled up with gas, and he makes sure that, everything is just easy and set up for me. I come down in the morning, my coffee cup is set up under the machine, and the other morning I looked in the refrigerator and there was a full container of milk, and I said, "Oh my gosh, you got milk?" He said, "Well, I saw we were running low and I know you like to have it in your coffee." And he's just always thinking of ways to take care of me.
So you didn't even say, I would love some milk. It sounds like he
No, I
just,
say that. And
wow. Well, this is incredible. Your life, your family, your marriage, it sounds dreamy. And I want to congratulate you, Bossy, by giving you my Best Wife Award for becoming so pleasable, so grateful, for seeing the best in your husband, for making yourself happy and, and for letting him make you even happier. And also for being a lighthouse for what's possible, for your daughters. And now as a coach, you're the best. And I want to congratulate you.
thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate everything and everything you have to offer. It's just life transforming.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing so much from your heart. It's really moving to hear your story.
Thank you.
Today's Try It Tonight takeaway got Bossy a much better response from her husband, and it's something you can try right now. Bossy had a complaint she'd carried for years. She didn't feel her husband was generous, so her coach gave her an assignment, an experiment to try. Flip the complaint into a spouse fulfilling prophecy. My husband is generous. My husband is generous. Then build an evidence list, not just around gifts, around anything. Time with the grandkids, handling things around the house, saying yes when she needed support. She found the evidence because it was there. She just never looked for it. And then she started saying it out loud. You're so generous. She kept saying it every time she caught him being generous in any way, however small. She named it. And did you hear what happened? He started being generous in ways he never had before. He started buying her diamonds, an anniversary bracelet, and then an eternity band, just because. So generous, right? He started saying it himself. I know, that's me. I'm so generous. So tonight, pick one complaint you've been carrying about your husband, just one, and flip it into its opposite. And then look for 3 pieces of evidence, however small, something that could be true, evidence that it could be true. And then find one moment to say it out loud to him. Right? If you're ready to stop feeling exhausted by your marriage and start feeling desired and cherished, come join the Adored Wife group with my coaches and me and over 10,000 women who think that having a great marriage is important at adoredwife.com. That's where we reveal the tips, tricks, and traps to avoid when you're making a spouse fulfilling prophecy. Now, this takes some courage to do a spouse fulfilling prophecy, but if you're feeling brave, you can experiment with it tonight. So are you ready? Are you in? Are you going to do this? Then let's go, go, go.